All right, folks, welcome back. We are getting into game number 1 in the losers match of this group. Now, there's something to be said about these two because if you guys don't know, they've both already played each other in this tournament. In fact, it was in the wildcard group section of the tournament, and if I recall, I believe it was a close series too. I'm actually going to look up the Wikipedia after this. Let's do the intros first to kick off this losers match. Both their lives are on the line at this point. In the top right, we've got the blue Zerg player, Ro16 Gaming's FireCake.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Root SolO.
Okay, so real quick note here for TING stuff, guys. Again, we got TING Jesse representing in chat. If any have questions about anything regarding TING, their rates, the way they operate, what color his hair is, ask away in chat. He'll do his best to answer. He's been a real trooper about joining us for almost every single one of these broadcasts. Secondly, yeah, so I went to Google and we did the intro. These two did play, and it was a 3-2. So yeah, I remember this being a close series.
What? I didn't.
Yes, it did.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Now, SolO unfortunately lost the group, but if you guys recall, we actually had that really sick series start off with him versus Penguin. That one I didn't forget, but it was the FireCake one I was unsure of, and of course that was unfortunately for SolO in the favor of FireCake. But again, another 3-2 situation. So Europe versus Europe this time. So there's no server latency woes. They're both playing on their home server. They're both players who are well matched and good enough to take each other on. We'll see if we get a repeat of that last time they fought.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that he 3-2 against Penguin, and then I thought that the FireCake one was a 3-0, but that was Rainer versus Penguin. So
I was gonna say normally, like literally, like 99% of the time I'm talking out of my ass, but I actually tabbed out Wikipedia on this one, so I was like, "No, Zombie Grub, no."
I just wondered if there was a discrepancy somewhere between results pages, but you were also in Wikipedia, so that would only make sense.
Boom. Now, FireCake, of course, perhaps not the greatest mindset after coming off that series. I don't know. I know SolO's had a bit of time to cool his head after losing to Reality, but it was worth noting, and I'll bring this up again, SolO was not initially in this group. As we had mentioned, he lost his wildcard group, so why is he here today? Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, and I did try desperately badly to make sure Raynor could play, combination of the fact that he's very young, he's got school, he isn't going to be at home, I don't know if he's on vacation or what the deal is, but like there was just no day he was going to be able to play. At no time was he going to be able to play. He tried to find like an internet cafe where he is. That also wasn't going to work out, so SolO did come to replace him. Now the argument could be made like Penguin or SolO, who should have played excuse me, at the end of the day, because SolO did make it to the finals of the group, we went with him instead. But yeah, if SolO was unavailable, we would have gone for Penguin, and if Penguin was unavailable, we would have just grabbed somebody who also made it to the round of 32.
Yeah, just someone, but decent.
Honestly,
results.
Like liberal choice at that point, where you're like, look, if no one else could play, just grab anybody who's available, because it was a last-minute replacement situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, this is the losers match already. It's actually been a pretty quick day so far. We got the winners match, TVZ between Reality and Hydra.
Yes, I'm very
and the
excited
decider will have to go back to the North American server as the equal ground.
Okay, well, for SolO, I'm wondering if he's got any tricks up his sleeve. I mean, we're going to see the Spire come out of FireCake. We've already seen him. He beat Hydra when it came to Spire play. Just again, reminding everybody how that went down. But for SolO, again, this is a guy who we knows how to go to Ultras. Again, it was the Penguin versus SolO game that was probably still my favorite of that group. Not FireCake, not Raynor, not anyone else, but it's Dusk Towers. SolO knows how to play this matchup. I would love to see this go to the absolute stretches of what ZvZ can be.
Now, what's cool about Wikipedia is they also give you the maps and how SolO versus FireCake went down. So SolO did win Dusk Towers, and then yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say shout out to Secretars to Kill. I think he was the one doing the map updates for that.
Yes. I believe he was. I remember him and one other guy was constantly asking what were the map orders. But anyways, it was actually a back and forth. There's no reverse kill that game, but he did win the first game, which was on Dusk Towers, just coincidental.
Oh.
Well, I guess not that coincidental, and there's a lot of Dusk Towers as the first maps. But yeah, FireCake's going for Spire, which the Lings are going to be able to see.
Because I didn't look because it's just assumed, it's Zerg. There's no creep spread, but he Overlord did this to try and block that. That's actually really cool. I like that.
That was a cool idea. I mean, he was so close to actually seeing the Spire with this overloads off to the right, but he didn't want it to die, so he saved it just in the good time. But it was like so close to seeing the Spire building. He would have had much more advanced notice had that happened. So now he's forced down around spore crawlers, more than a couple too, because you got to protect everything, all your tech structures, the drone line on both sides, your hatchers on every side too, and a Hydralisk Den, which is always the scary choice because they can be picked off one at a time. If FireCake is going to continue to invest into Mutalisk, which I think he is, he's investing into Lings and Banelings, which are going to complement FireCake's Mutas very well. That's a lot of queens.
Yeah. Q spread is being made. This is actually really important because the queens wouldn't be able to maneuver between the bases without it. We've talked about the merits, the pros and cons of creep spread in ZvZ, but definitely between each base for certain in these situations, especially if you are going to be relying on specifically queens or even rallied out hydras. Now it's worth noting FireCake's still investing into more mutas. He's still investing into weapon upgrades. He knows full well his opponent's not going to be matching him for muta at this point.
Yeah. That has been made obvious. And the map control goes entirely to FireCake, so he did go for an Overlord drop, and I remember seeing that production tab and wondering what that was for. He's going to be taking the gold base, which is pretty damn cool. Now, I don't know if he's going to transfer more workers over there or simply use it as, 3 drones at a time. Maybe he'll make a queen over there, too. That would be kind of funny to see.
Oh, I really like this for a couple of different reasons. As you mentioned, he's got map control, so there's not going to be a random Overlord scouting up here. And furthermore, with the army composition being what it is at a SolO, he's probably going to be playing turtled up. He's really not going to be pushing around the map, exploring random bases. This is really clever out of FireCake, and he should be able to get away with this for a considerable amount of time.
It is a really cool idea. He also goes for another 4th, so of course his 5th, but to SolO, whenever he does end up scouting, it's going to look just like a 4th. And it looked like a much more even game than it would actually be. Now, FireCake has a lot of options, because he still is going to have this control until SolO is at, 150, maybe 180 supply. Maybe he'll think about pushing out then if he has infestors ready. He is going to drop drones. Oh my goodness.
He doesn't have Overlord speed though. Oh my god. So it is the slowest transfer.
But it works, I guess. See, the thing is that it would have been so silly to see a queen over there, larva injecting, because he would never be able to reinforce. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if FireCake didn't have this hotkeyed, because he'd have to break down the rocks to even use the units that came from there.
I mean, getting mutas from it wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I agree.
That's true.
I agree. In general, it's a silly weird. It's just mining, and that's the focus, right? Get those minerals, get that gold base going. But for SolO, in the meantime, he has set up pretty nicely around his own 4th. I'm not sure if has he scouted recently? No, he doesn't even know about FireCake's 4th. But when you scout FireCake's 4th, that should be satisfactory information. The way ZvZ tends to build up, we're not going to see SolO questioning we've got 4 bases, how can you afford all those mutas? That's going to look perfectly normal. This gold base, there's not a lot that's going to give this away other than sheer blind dumb luck.
Yeah. Well, even with the gold base, that doesn't mean SolO's completely out of this game. It will mean that FireCake has an extra army to work with. But if SolO does get to that perfect composition, which he is getting to, Roach, Hydra, Lurker, Infester with Pathogen Glands, and a Hive for probably Vipers, his army, controlled absolutely correctly, so Fungals on the Banelings, Parasitic Bombs on the Mutas, could take down FireCake's army, so damn quick. And he could just, steamroll and win, regardless of a gold base.
He's going to need to land those Fungals on the Banelings. The idea is to hit them on the Mutas, but that's so many. This isn't a small amount of Banelings. We're sitting here, on 30-plus Banelings.
Yeah. The thing is I say, I built a big game for this composition of SolO, but that hardly ever happens. Usually the Fungals miss a good portion of the Banelings. The Lings round does an awful amount of damage you just don't expect. And the Mutas are not taken down as quickly as you would hope.
And he decisively decides to go for the Overlords. So this hardcore supply blocks SolO, who was not maxed out and won't be able to anytime soon. 1 Infestor is being made, and that's all he can do because he doesn't have the supply to make more.
Yeah. Now the Hydras come back, which is a really good decision from SolO. As if the Hydras were left and, for instance, like the Infestors came back or something like that, the Banelings definitely would have rolled in, but they're still going to roll in. So Lurkers are burrowed, though.
He was testing for Lurkers. That was what the initial Ling dive in there was, to see if there were going to be Lurkers waiting for him or not. Now the Lurkers do burrow, he's got to wait till the Overseer's out and maybe try and pick that off for the Banelings to even have a chance to get in here. Of course, just reminding everybody that SolO is still, despite not supply blocked, supply capped really low.
Yeah. That is silly to see. The Mutas actually are taking on the army, but there comes a really good fungal, so the Mutas are going to go down. The Banelings do roll in, but there's still 4 Lurkers.
FireCake does not get much for that attack at all.
It's not. That's where the economy of the gold base is hopefully going to help out here, but unfortunately, he never took the gases, so that is a 5th and 6th that never really went up, or 7th and 8th, I guess.
Well, as you say, he did take the gases down here, so
yes, he did.
Obviously, it could be better. Isn't the end of the world, but man, his supply took a huge plummet. I don't know that you can band-aid that.
Yeah,
like it's larva alone. I feel like he just doesn't have. In fact,
that's
confirming that is the case. He's got 1,000 minerals in the bank. No larva to spend with.
Well, looks like SolO is going to take this game. He's pushing out here. He still has quite a few Hydras. The Infestors are low in energy, but the Muta count is something that he actually can deal with. 5 more on the way. They got +2 upgrades. They're going to try and take on the Hydra. Snipe the Infestors first.
Infested Terran. 1 Infested Terran comes out.
Go, buddy, go. Yeah, the third base is going to go down.
That choke going to help out a little bit. Buy a bit of time, but GG. SolO going to take the first game in the series. Of course, a lot of people doubting SolO. Obviously didn't see him play in that Zerg-only ZvZ group in the wildcard number 1.
Oh, don't blame me for not seeing it. Next map's going to be Lerlac.
Actually, the first time I've seen Lerlac today, too. Which is nice, because I don't have to do map intros. Well, I mean, I should do map intros for it, but... When do we get the new maps, actually? That's sometime soon, isn't it? Like a month and a half, 2 months or something?
Not soon enough.
Yeah.
Months is a long time. That's dumb.
Alright, well, Lerlac Crest will be an interesting one. We'll see if somebody decides to go for the gamble. The 4-player spawn aspect of it really does not seem to outweigh the early pool potential. Oh, all at the same time, what do you know?
Oh my goodness.
Didn't see that one coming. Whoa! Alright, game number 2 here for the Ting Open. Again, we got the people coming in chat. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's... When people are being trolls, I can usually at least understand it. But it's like, wow, there's still more Ting games happening. Like, again, what? Whoa. Whoa, FireCake. Okay. I was this actually changes things up quite a bit, but I was just gonna say, like, I still don't see the downside to like, where's the benefit of complaining about having more StarCraft? It's more StarCraft every single day this week, so I can't get behind this level of trolling. Either way, thank you Gordeath for the 15-month resub, and FireCake making a very last-moment decision to say, screw it, I'm not gonna macro, I want to get that pool down. In the top right, it's Uranix Gaming's FireCake.
In the bottom right, as the Red Zerg, he is Root SolO.
A bit more of a decisive way to get to this.
Yeah, I was always under the impression, you know, I was told by Zerg players that you never, ever, ever cancel larva. Like, just there's almost no reason to. Even if someone's attacking you and you're making drones, it's not going to help you. The larva dies when you cancel it. So, I don't know why. This is the second time I've seen the Zerg player cancel a larva and then go for an early pool, so I don't know if it really is worth it in that situation. Maybe the larva actually like replenishes fast enough. I don't know. I don't. But well, he's even pulling drones with this. Okay. But he's going to the wrong location. Oh, he's gonna no. He sees the Overlord. Oh my god, it doesn't matter. Oh my goodness.
What the fuck happened that game? What just happened for FireCake?
It's like I told him that the NA, like the cider was NA, and he was like, nope. I don't want to play anymore. I give up on life.
Well, SolO taking a 2-0 lead at this point.
He had no idea what happened, by the way.
Like, yeah, for him, yeah, there's no scouting.
He
just leaves and he's like, fuck this. I mean, SolO may assume that FireCake messed up a build or something, right? Like, there's not a lot of reasons for a pro play. Like, that is actually... that's actually the first time I think we've ever cast a game like that. in like 3 years.
I think so, including any of like the CSL games we've cast, or like first round dream hacks where the players aren't exactly the greatest.
Fucking Lyrelette Crest. That's all I can say. I hate this map.
Yeah, blame the map for that one. Go ahead.
All right, we are going to get into Orbital Shipyard next, and yeah, we'll load in here as soon as the players are ready. Maybe FireCake needs a moment to breathe. No, they're both gung ho and ready to play. So, without further ado, game number 3 already coming up. We'll see you guys in a second. All right, getting into game number 3. Spawning in the top right corner of the map, this time decisively going for a pool first. It is the blue Zerg FireCake. Currently on his last life in the tournament, as we are reminding everybody that this is the loser's match for the TING Open.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Root SolO, going for kind of the same build he did last time. Got him a win, after all.
You're not wrong. But so here's the problem though, like what FireCake is doing, we saw like the exact opposite happen. Like Hydra did this to him, and the idea is when you go for the gasless version of this, it's meant to knock down a hatchery. I don't like this choice because on a map like Orbital, your hatchery is going to be further back in the safety of your base anyways, combined with the fact that SolO isn't a player who's doing a greedy build. Like, he's not going for a hatchery first. I say greedy, but it's not greedy, it's just more standard. But the point of it still being, he's going to be able to... Well, no, FireCake's pulling the drones again, so he might actually have just said, fuck it.
I think he did just say fuck it. Like, you really do not pull drones. We saw in the very beginning of Legacy of the Void, Damaga was trying a couple of builds, but...
When did you tell him that the deciders on NA? Was it after game 1?
It was the start of game 2.
I'm really glad we had FireCake in this tournament, ladies and gentlemen, but he's going to be the first one eliminated from the group. So congratulations to SolO, who will stick in a little bit longer with a chance to play out. But we are going to be swapping to Korea now, as we got to hunt down Reality and Hydra. And I don't think I've seen games thrown so bad since, I don't know, before I started casting. Yeah, exactly, like forever ago. So, okay, well... we'll discuss some stuff internally about this later, but we're going to go to commercial break. So again, talking a little bit about TING. We talked about their rates, not their plans. This time we'll talk about their coverage, as they are partnered with T-Mobile and Sprint. They're looking to give great nationwide coverage and for the United States only. So some sponsored content while we quickly go find Hydra and Reality and get those videos started ASAP. We'll see you guys soon.